Welcome, everyone, to the Hol-Truth Podcast with John Levine. We are here at the WeForum Health and Wellness Conference 2018 with Dr. Evan Rubin, who is an osteopathic physician, and he specializes in healing from Lyme and other chronic illnesses, along with other things. And I just got to talking to you for about 10 minutes, even before you came on the podcast. Nice to meet you finally.
Nice
Heard a lot
to meet
about
too.
you.
Yeah.
How's everything going today?
Things are going great. I'm very impressed by the space, and it's a lot of the lectures I've heard so far.
Did you talk yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. You're coming up.
Yeah, in a couple hours.
So you're going to talk about how do you heal from Lyme. Is that what you're going to be talking about?
That is correct, yes.
Let's give not too much information. Let's give a little bit of a snippet. How do you heal from Lyme? How do you go about that process? That's a whole thing. We're gonna have you on for a little bit longer at the podcast studio, but.
So, well, thank you first of all for inviting me and for to having me on. I'll give kind of the pivot point, the main kind of aspect of the talk I'm going to be giving later, and what it is about how Lyme has two faces. There's the acute infection that a lot of people are aware of, where you figure out what it is, there's been a diagnosis, there are symptoms that are pretty clear-cut, you start antibiotics, and within a few weeks, you're better.
Right.
But there's another face to Lyme, where diagnosis is delayed, treatment is delayed, you're not really sure what it is, it's a little bit tricky,
Okay.
and the symptoms are very varied. And it persists. Sometimes it can go kind of underground and not resurface again for months or years, and you really don't know what it is. And it becomes, rather than an acute infection, becomes more like a chronic illness. And when it comes to chronic illness, it's not just about taking antibiotics, it's about that whole body. It's about the wholeness, it's about supporting your immune system. It's about using those resources of health that we all have and sometimes take for granted to really help your body start to make the change and get healthier and resolve from those issues.
Yeah, so giving your body the opportunity to do its job. Our bodies, in my mind, are perfect vehicles. Our bodies know exactly what to do. They know exactly what to do. They function perfectly. If we eliminate the toxins, if we eliminate the stuff that our bodies don't like and let our bodies heal and perform the way they're supposed to perform, that would probably be the step in the right direction, I'm assuming.
Exactly. And then, like I said, when it comes to acute infections and other things, oftentimes we get away with not paying attention to those things. Our immune system is strong enough, our nervous system is strong enough that things just resolve without really having to be conscious or aware of it. But it's when we start to get knocked down a little bit and we get overwhelmed, that's when it's really important to be able to focus on upbuilding.
Yeah, well, I think it's so hard in this day and age because we are so disconnected from nature more than ever, and we've just been bombarded more than ever with chemicals and the things. You know, sometimes it's easier said than done that we need to connect with nature and we need to, eliminate a lot of things, but even like computers, phones, we need our computers, we need our phones. Everyone's got a phone, you need your phone, but if you're on the phone too much, that's radiation, it's EMFs, it's really bad for kids, and that affects your body and all. So it's hard because you got to like balance it, right? Because It's like, it's the world we live in now.
And it's tricky too because while that's great advice for everybody, I mean, there are things that's something that everyone should consider and do. Most people take for granted how healthy they are and how strong they are, and their bodies can resist some of those toxins. So you say things like that to a large number of people, and they won't listen because for them right now it might not be an issue.
Right.
But it's until it is an issue that people don't pay attention. And prevention is the other key, both when you're talking about Lyme disease, chronic illness, and in some of these environmental food. I mean, there have been so many great lectures today about the soil, about the food, and about all these other things. When you consider it before you get sick, it keeps your body strong and it keeps your ability to resist disease and infection at a high level, and you don't have to worry as much.
You're so right. Isn't that so funny, though? I even myself, I'm pretty healthy. I'm pretty active. I eat well. But even there's times where I'm like, I feel good, so maybe I could eat this. Or maybe I can not do this for a day. I don't know if that's human nature or what, but it's so true. If you could just be like, hey, you feel good, keep it up. Keep it, John, you idiot, keep it up, and don't get to the point where you're having these symptoms.
And I'll tell people that. I mean, people say, but what about ice cream? And listen,
coconut ice cream,
nobody,
or almond milk ice cream.
Nobody loves ice cream more than I do.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Maybe me.
But
probably me.
But if you have
kids.
ice cream once every few weeks, once a month, then you can probably get away with it. If you're eating ice cream every day, or worse yet, if ice cream is the staple of your diet and you're not putting in those other nutrient-rich foods. Like I'll tell people this, and maybe it sounds a little extreme, but I'll say, if you look at food as medicine, if you look at vegetables as chemotherapy, chemical medicine.
My gosh.
If you have two choices. You could either take your chemotherapy before you get sick, or you take it after.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
Say that one more time. I love that. Seriously, that was awesome. Right there.
Looking at plants, at vegetables, at fruits as chemical medicine. And when you break it down, you look at the biochemistry of it, and you see what it does to help our immune systems and what those nutrients do to support our bodies. You can think of it as chemotherapy, and you have the choice of either taking the chemotherapy before you get sick or waiting until after. And it's much more delicious to take it first, and it's much better for you, and you have a much greater chance of health.
Perfect. That's perfectly said. That's perfectly said. It makes so much sense. Wow. And I'll tell you what, we can get into this in the future when I have you on the show with the Lyme. And the Lyme is, getting back to the Lyme, is so tricky. Because in full transparency, my middle son has Lyme. And I got to tell you, maybe you can help me with, you probably can, I know you can help me with this. I don't know if he does have Lyme. He's been tested, and he's been tested for Lyme. And then we tested him again, he's got Lyme. Then we tested it again, he doesn't have Lyme. Then he does have Lyme. We've got the functional doctor after functional doctor. Then we went out to Seattle, and we saw Dr. Klinghardt. And Dr. Klinghardt, and I'm not saying he's right or he's wrong, but the information when it comes to Lyme, it's like, you don't even know what's what. Because, you'll have guys that say Lyme comes from ticks. You'll have some other people say that Lyme comes from all sorts of bugs. And then you'll have other people who say, and I know a couple doctors that say we all have Lyme. I don't know if we all have Lyme, but one in particular says we have Lyme, and it's just, in some people it manifests itself and gets into the tissues, and in others it's dormant. And truthfully, I'm totally confused. And we do all the right things for our kids and my son, but here's the other thing. He's got no symptoms. He's got no symptoms. My wife, one day, and it's a mom's instinct that guys will just, we don't have, we're not born with it. My wife had a mom's instinct and said there's something a little off. And I was like, what do you mean? Everything's fine. She's like, no, something's a little off. So we went to a functional doctor and tested him, and we weren't thinking Lyme. I don't know what we were thinking. Just maybe he was low on magnesium, or something like a mineral or whatever it may be. And then that's when he tested positive for Lyme. And that's where this whole thing became, and that's where it's just become very confusing. But we need people like you who look at things holistically, because I think I can speak for you when I say that Lyme and other chronic illnesses, as you said, can be, I don't necessarily want to say reversed, but certainly helped and potentially prevented by your chemotherapy.
Yes.
Let's not get to that point.
Right. I mean, that's the idea. The idea is prevention, prevention, prevention. The idea is finding something early, having a high index of suspicion, like your wife had, knowing the child and
God,
saying there's something
moms
off.
have that ability. It's unbelievable. It's
all
uncanny.
of those eyes on them, knowing your kids. I could tell you, in my talk in a little bit, I also talk about my son, who was diagnosed with Lyme.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I wish I could give you a clear-cut, straightforward, linear answer for that.
Yeah.
And the truth is, when you start to really get into the science of it, the bugs are tricky. The spirochetes.
Those sons of bitches.
Those
sons of bitches.
Lyme.
Can I curse on my own show? Those motherfucking bugs. Those motherfucking spirochetes.
Crafty.
Those
they really are. But
bastards.
hold on. They're. It's also
Let's
important to
kill
understand.
Him, Dr. Rubin. Let's kill him.
That's right. That's what we're trying to do.
God.
Well, what's interesting is that the antibiotics, while they knock the numbers down, they don't ever, whether it's Lyme or whether it's strep or whatever it is, they don't ever completely eradicate them from your system. It's your immune system that knocks those levels down and keeps you functional. So that's, it's an important piece to follow function. No symptoms, I really question treatment.
I agree.
And that's it's something that is important to look at too, because you look at what health is, and health is balance. It's a balance with our environment. It's a balance in how much we move, how much we rest, how much we eat, how much we drink. It's a balance in our relationships. It's a balance in our life. And bacteria and fungi and viruses are all part of that balance.
They sure are. How do you feel after eating that organic banana before we went on?
The banana was pretty delicious.
I had one too. It works.
Yeah.
So we're going to save a little bit. We're going to wrap it up. I sincerely appreciate you coming on, and I think you and I could probably talk for weeks, if not hours. So we're going to have you on at A Shared Universe Podcast Studio in Eatontown, and we're going to do this again. We're going to set up a time. We're going to talk for a good hour, get this information out there, because it's important. And, you're a rock star. Thanks for doing what you're doing. It's a pleasure meeting you.
You
and
too.
we'll talk again soon, all right?
Thank you.
All right, that's a wrap. And you look like Tim Tebow, by the way. I know everyone tells you that. That probably drives you crazy, right?
I'm glad it's on camera, though. Yeah.
You're better looking than Tim Tebow.
Oh,
okay, and smarter. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I am ready. Is she ready?
I'm always ready.
Oh, who is that? Who am I talking to? Who is on the Hol-Truth Podcast with John Levine? I'll tell you who it is. I feel like I've known you forever.
Probably because I made fun of you within seconds of meeting you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Veera Gupta, chiropractor at Optimum Health Chiropractic in Manasquan.
Yes.
Right. And you just talked about the gut microbiome and its connection to everything.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
Okay, so people don't know the latest research ever. In fact, every textbook you ever get is already obsolete the day it's produced. So the research is always 10 years ahead of where your doctor is. So I go to all the research conferences and I learn the greatest and latest research.
We'll back up. 10 years.
A decade. 1 decade.
Why? Why is that?
Because you've got to get the guy who's doing the research to communicate first off. And I don't know if you've ever read any papers. They're really boring and dry. Instead of having exclamations and pictures in them, there'll be a synopsis, there'll just be an abstract, then there'll be a maybe this, maybe that. That doesn't make me want to pick it up.
No, I agree, and I do read some stuff, and it's always got to be fun and invigorating.
Right, so you've got these guys in the research lab.
Okay.
They produce their stuff. It gets lambasted by everybody else in their research.
I love the lambasted.
Then it has to get put in a journal. Then a doctor has to go read the journal, which implies that they have the time to go read all the journals. Then they have to impart that knowledge to their patients. Or you can go to some of the research conferences, or you can listen to people like Datis Karazian, who are the head of their field, and you can learn all of it and bring it to your patients.
And that takes 10 years?
Well, some of us bypass the system, but a lot of us can't.
So what do you know that so you're on top of it. So you go to these you're on top of the new research?
Oh yeah. Because if you're not, what are you going to be 10 years behind in helping your patients? You need to be on top of it to help them, especially today. There's more chronic stress today. There's more disease today. There's less diversity today. So if you want to help your patients out, you need to be on top of it. And actually, the microbiome is probably the coolest thing people don't know about.
All right. Well, let's educate my listeners.
All right.
Tell me.
First thing, it's all about mice and men. We always start with mice. We always research on mice. Here's what we know.
Okay.
When they take mice, super fat mice, we're talking about like kitten-sized mice, and they put the gut microbiome of a skinny mouse in, the mouse gets skinny because you changed its gut function completely. You made it diverse.
But how did you change that function? What did you exactly do?
Well, I don't do it.
No,
But
right.
what the researchers do is they actually give them a fecal transplant. That's
Fecal
Yep.
transplant. So, all right. So you're taking
the
feces
Yep.
and putting it and extracting it into the fat mice.
You're taking it out of one mouse and you're putting it through the colon of the other mouse, sure. And hold on to your hats, they're doing it to humans too.
Yeah. More than you know. No, I'm just kidding with you. So that fat mouse, the
Yeah.
kitten-sized mouse,
Yeah.
is now getting the fecal transplant
Yep.
from the skinny mouse.
Yes,
And it loses weight?
immediately.
Why?
Because all the bacteria are completely different. A mouse that's fat is
Do you know how many people want feces up their ass right now?
And you know what? It's actually becoming a really big thing. UPenn is doing transfers. Children's Hospital is doing them. They're doing them in a lot of places. So I'll tell you the human study in a minute. But what happens
Wow.
is the mouse is fat in the first place because its gut microbiome is not diverse. Basically, food comes in, your body goes, how do I digest this? Oh, you don't have microbiome that know what to do with it? Turn it into fat.
It doesn't have enough diversity of
Correct.
bacteria.
Yes,
So it only has, whatever, a little bit of bacteria.
correct.
The skinny mouse has a variety of strains of bacteria.
Yes.
It's just booming, flourishing with bacteria.
Very much so. And actually, the fat mouse has the same profile as a woman in her third trimester or an older gentleman, because those are the people who have very, very undiverse gut microbiome.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but it actually gets way crazier than this.
You're
than
blowing
turning-
my mind here. Like, I didn't expect this. Like, I thought I was going to get an adjustment. I thought, like, you when I first met you, you said, okay, I can work with you. Your head's forward. You look like a turtle. Your shoulders all messed up.
And you don't breathe.
Eh.
And when you do breathe, you're a mouth breather, which also screws with your gut microbiome.
But guess what? I have tape when I sleep at night, and I
Yeah.
tape my mouth. So I breathe through my nose.
I don't know if I should believe you.
Yeah,
Should I?
you should.
All right.
I use lip seal. I tape my mouth.
Okay, now I don't believe anything you say.
I swear to God. I swear to God. There is an orthodontist who does orthotropics. Have you ever heard of orthotropics?
I have not.
See, now I'm teaching you something. And it's about mouth breathing. So when you breathe with your mouth,
Yes.
you start to
It changes the entire jaw, all the way the teeth move. Yeah, this I know. I just didn't know it was called that.
Yes. So I am a mouth breather, and
Yes.
traditionally I have
Yeah.
been a mouth breather. And I'm learning to not be a mouth breather. But when I'm sleeping,
Yeah.
in order to make sure that I'm getting restful sleep and breathing through my nose the correct way,
Yeah.
I put tape on my
Right.
tape on my lips.
Well, it's funny,
Not duct tape, lip seal tape.
but it's funny you should mention your mouth.
And if you don't believe me, I will.
I
tape
believe
it
your
or-
friend, so he gives you credibility.
Would you believe my wife?
Yes.
It was her. It was
I'm,
her idea.
I'm always on the wife's side. Yeah, I believe your wife.
Okay. Well then. You'll
But
believe me.
here's the thing: is you just brought up another thing that you'll never know about because it's on the forefront of research. There's not just a gut microbiome; there's a mouth microbiome, and every second you are swallowing 1 billion bacteria. So if you don't floss your teeth, keep your mouth clean, guess what? You're re-inoculating the gut with things it shouldn't have. But that's other than the mouse research. There's more mouse research.
Can you just go get me a bubble and just surround me and just roll me around for the rest of my life?
If we put you in a bubble, that would be the worst thing you could possibly do because you would be germ-free.
I want the germs.
You want the germs. Only 10 to 30% of a human being is actually human cells. The
The
rest
good-
of them are bacteria, viruses, fungi.
Say
You're like
that,
a
Say that one more time. Back up.
10 to 30% of a human is human cells.
That's
The
not-
rest are not human cells.
Isn't that unbelievable?
That's-
That blows my mind.
That's what the research is so
we're
cool.
we're made up of bugs.
You're a meat suit.
It's disgusting. It's so true, but it's like it always blows my mind. We are made up of bugs.
But I find it liberating. You're part of this earth. You will always be part of this earth. As much as we try to separate ourselves,
No, there's no separation.
Yeah.
Listen, it's the Hol, H-O-L, Hol-Truth Podcast. We are all one.
well,
We're
I didn't
all-
even tell you the coolest mouse research.
Yeah, let's get back to the mouse.
Okay, so I told you about the fat mouse and the skinny mouse. The fat mouse, as soon as you make his gut microbiome diverse, he can digest things better, his resistance is better, because each bacteria is talking to the other ones. But there's something even cooler. They took another set of mice, and they took Swiss mice, which are known to be pretty relaxed and chilled out, and they took these tweaky mice that are known to like bite your hand off.
Are those the New Jersey, New York mice?
One named after me, probably. They switched their gut microbiome, and the mice that were completely tweaked out, chill out. The mice that were completely chill, tweak out. Their personalities flip to the species of the opposite mouse.
That's crazy.
You want to hear one even crazier?
But do I really have to be inserted to change? Like, so how?
No, it's the easiest thing in the world to change your gut microbiome. It changes in 3 days. 3 days.
You could change my butt you can you can change my butt microbiome in 3 days.
Your gut microbiome?
My gut microbiome, yes.
You can, sure.
Tell me, what do I do?
16 different greens.
Dark leafy?
Well, I tend to say that even though you can include any plant matter, but the reason I say 16 greens is because that's a variety I know you'll get. I don't have to worry about the diabetics with the sugar and the berries and that kind of thing, but every green you eat has good bacteria. They populate your stomach. They talk to each other. The more variety you have, the more they can do things. What they do is they produce short-chain fatty acids. They produce your vitamins. They digest your food. You don't.
The plants digest the food.
Let me repeat that. The bacteria digest your food.
Oh, the bacteria.
You don't. So the more varied they are, the better job they do with digestion. If they're not varied, they go, hey, I don't know what to do with this, turn it into fat.
So a variety of dark leafy greens, the good bacteria
Yeah.
or the bacteria
Yeah.
will
They're on the food.
they're eating it. They're eating what's ingested. Let's say it's kale, parsley, spinach, we can go on arugula. They're eating all that stuff. They like the variety of it.
They're
and
eating
they're
the
now
fiber.
happy. They're happy now.
So when you eat the green, you're populating yourself with the bacteria. They're eating the fiber in the green, which is why fiber is so important.
Oh.
Once they eat the fiber, they produce short-chain fatty acids, which do two things. They do cell signaling to say, hey, make more bacteria, and then they also then stimulate neurotransmitters.
Okay, so make more bacteria, which is good because we want diversity of bacteria.
Diversity is the name of the game.
Yeah.
Everything has balance. So as long as you've got homeostasis, you have a balance.
There's my wife. Hey,
Oh,
I'm
she's
here with Dr.
lovely.
Gupta. She does not believe that I wear tape at night. I just want to let you know that.
Yes, and
Thank
so
you.
does our daughter.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Your wife is
And
lovely.
And you threw me right under the table there.
I did. I said that I would believe his wife any day.
He does, yes. Do you believe in that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
To
it,
encourage the breathing through.
100%. Actually, some of the best gut microbiome work was done by dentists. They were way ahead of the game.
But
They-
let me cut you off. So we're here at the WeForum Health and Wellness Conference 2018. I am with Dr. Gupta and my wife, my beautiful wife, I'm an overachiever, what can I tell you? Just walked up, and I had to say hi to her. Now we're having a whole conversation about the lip sealing and the breathing and the gut microbiome, which you missed a lot of this. So we're going to do this again. You got a lot to offer. This is really blowing my mind because I didn't know a lot of this, and this is really cool. Fat mice, skinny mice, New Jersey mice, New York mice. We're learning a lot, like the variety of different bacteria. You want diversity. The name of the game is diversity.
Diversity, glutathione, you gotta get an anti-inflammatory in there, a good one. And you need a short-chain fatty acid. That's like the 1-2 punch. Get the food, get the diversity, give them what they need to eat. And decrease the inflammation so they can actually get what they need.
And stay away from the stuff that's not food,
100%.
because they like that too. The bad guys don't.
They do. They absolutely do.
So the bad bacteria, like the bad foods.
Well, wait. There's no such thing as bad bacteria and good bacteria. It's
Oh.
all about the balance. Because remember, they all talk to each other. They like having everybody there.
So do they like some sugar?
We
Does
get
it-
way too much sugar, and they can produce what they need. They're good to go. The bad bacteria, quote unquote, are the bacteria that have overgrown, that you overpopulate by giving them sugar.
The bad sugar.
Yes.
I'm not talking about fruit sugar. I'm talking about like man-made.
Right, because what you're doing is you're feeding certain bacteria so you get a bigger population of them.
Right.
So it would be like having 1 million of me and only 1 of you. We don't need that. We need 1 of each of us.
You're pretty cool. I don't know if we need 1 million of you.
You know what? They always say not to hang out with people who are just like yourself.
No, you're awesome.
It's true.
I'll take 1 million of you. You're real cool. We got to do this again. We're going to wrap it up now because we can go on. And we're going to have you in studio at a shared podcast universe. Thank you, Dr. Gupta.
Thank you so much for having me.
What a great personality.
Aww.
You and I, we sync well. But you didn't believe me with the lip seal. But
I believe your wife, though, and your friend. They give you credibility.
Hey, I can't have a podcast and not practice what I preach. I can't sit here and say, hey, do this and do that, and let's inspire you. And I'm sitting here and I'm like eating cookies and not doing my lip seal and not eating my dark leafy greens. Listen, I'm human, but I sincerely have to practice what I preach. I believe it. I have to do it. There's a lot of people say it. Actions speak louder than words.
Definitely true.
I'm going to go eat my 16 different dark leafy greens.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta. Bada boom, bada bing. Welcome, everyone, to the Hol-Truth Podcast with John Levine. And we are here live at the WeForum Health and Wellness Conference 2018 with my guest, Dr. Ron Weiss, Executive Director of Ethos Health and Assistant Professor of Clinical Medicine at Rutgers University Medical School. What's going on? How are you?
I am fine. How are you today, John?
I'm good. We met earlier, and I'm excited to have you on.
Thank you so much.
So did you have your talk already?
I did have my talk.
Yeah, and it was on
Maybe talk too much.
No, you can never talk too much.
But
Farm to hospital, and you have a farm, and you're a botanist as well, right?
Yes, I do not have a hospital, but I do have a farm.
Did I say you had a hospital?
I think you said farm to hospital. You didn't say I have a hospital.
You have a hospital and a farm?
No. Well, the farm.
And you're a botanist?
The farm negates the need for a hospital.
How do you do all this? How do you have a hospital, a farm? And
Well, it's taken a while, like 56 years, but I fit it in all somehow.
No, it was farm to hospital.
Farm to hospital.
Farm to hospital. How the way we farm makes us sick.
Right.
So, what's the right way to farm? What's the wrong way to farm?
The right way to farm is using organic and regenerative and natural methods, and the wrong way to farm is using chemical-based agriculture.
Yeah.
So using, first way is designing your methods so that they are in alignment with the natural order of things and the way plants grow in nature. And the second one is moving away from that, so you need chemicals in order to sustain and get yields and food out of your plantings.
Okay, so where is your farm located?
It is located in western Morris County, New Jersey,
Okay.
about an hour west of Manhattan in Long Valley.
Long Valley. Oh, that's beautiful up there.
It is.
Okay, so I'm having a little bit of an issue. I don't know much about gardening and farming. I'm very healthy and I eat it. But recently, I just got a garden, and we don't spray chemicals, but the bugs went to town. Like on my bok choy, they went to town on my broccoli, Brussels sprouts. Now, what is the organic way of preventing that from happening and being able to actually eat this food? What am I putting? Am I using essential oils? Like, what do you do at the farm?
What we do at the farm is to attack your problem that you just mentioned, a number of things. We concentrate on our energies on building soil, because if the soil has the correct components and makeup, the plants can extract what they need from the soil to make their own pesticides to inhibit the bugs from chewing on the leaves. And so then the bugs do not like chewing on the leaves. We work with the natural surrounding environment to make sure that there are natural predators that are like birds and bats and other kinds of things that pick off these insects that are chewing on our plants. And then we use specific techniques. Let's say, for example, it sounds like you may have had a problem. I haven't seen a picture of your pests, but a common problem
Caterpillars, a lot of caterpillars.
Well, caterpillars, birds like them, and they're predators for these things.
Right.
For the cruciferous plants, like arugula and broccoli and things like that, and kale, there's a very common pest that's called flea beetle.
Flea beetle?
Flea beetles, which chew holes in the leaves.
Oh, it's not
tiny,
a spray.
tiny
it's
little.
Actually, it's actual.
They're
beetle.
beetles.
So you release the beetles?
No, they're the problem.
And
they regenerate themselves and they reproduce in the soil. So by using netting and covering, we use these sheer row cover nets. And if you cover the plants, just mechanically, you can prevent these bugs from getting on your cruciferous plants and chewing them, because they love the kinds of plants you were planting. These insects love those kinds of plants more than anything, and they chew holes in the leaves.
The green, the dark leafy?
Cruciferous greens, the arugula, what did you say you were growing? Broccoli,
we have
kale, those kinds of things. Flea beetles love them.
I tell you what, well, that's good. That's good to know. So that's so essentially in Long Valley, what you're doing is you're letting nature take its course. You're letting the bugs will obviously want to eat the food, the dark leafy greens, the kale, whatever it may be. The birds and the bats need to do their job, and they need to eat as well. You're letting them do their job,
right?
And you're letting everything. You're letting nature take its course. Essentially.
Well, we try to when nature is going on the course we don't want it to.
Right.
We try to intervene, and usually what happens is it means something is out of balance, and you need to rebalance it. It's a sign that something is not going well. The innate problem is, of course, is that farming itself is out of balance, right?
Yeah.
Because farming is an unnatural pursuit.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's not a naturally occurring process, farming.
Oh, right.
We plant, usually many plants of the same kind don't occur, like in rows or in a plot, right? They're sprinkled randomly throughout a natural setting, through a field or whatever, and when you start to disturb the soil, or you start to introduce one species and try to manage it, and then you're trying to harvest the food that is coming out of that, you're robbing the soil of its nutrients because they're put into the food, and then you're introducing monocultures or imbalances in plant relationships. That has to be accounted for by, mindful farming methods. So making sure there are predators around, or maybe,
But you say you're introducing predators, or are these the natural predators
that are in our environment? We try to support them. Okay. Like, for example, we grew sweet potatoes 2 years ago.
Right.
Lost 20% of the crop to voles, which are small mice-like creatures.
We had those as well, by the way.
Yeah. They love sweet potatoes more than anything else in the world.
Ooh.
So now there's a kestrel box, which is in one end of our field. Kestrels have special vision that can sense.
What is a kestrel?
Kestrel is the smallest raptor there is in North America.
Oh.
It's a bird of prey, and its favorite food is voles. And they can track the voles through fluorescent molecules in the vole's urine.
No way.
The kestrel evolved. They don't have to see the vole. They can just see the trail of urine that the vole is leaving as it runs through the field, and then they can come and get the vole. They're very efficient predators. So that's an example of how we're tipping the scale.
That is so okay. So let's recap. So you have the sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes, you lost 20% because of the voles. They love the sweet potatoes. So the North American kestrel.
American kestrel
has this incredible ability, which is unbelievable, to track the urine of the voles?
Right. There's a special fluorescent molecule
That is
when the
unreal.
sun shines on this molecule from a urine trail that the vole has left, that the kestrel specifically can
Is that
see this
unbelievable?
and find out where the vole is.
So they take
and
care of
get
the
him.
voles, and then you got your sweet potatoes.
Yeah, that's a good example.
That is a good example. How incredible are some of God's creatures, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
All right. So now I know how to protect my. But you have a kestrel box.
Yes.
So you're trying to what do you have? What do you mean?
Encourage kestrels to live in
Yeah.
our sweet potato field.
Wow. How many acres do you have up there?
It's 342.
That's unbelievable. That's great. And it all starts with the soil, huh?
It does all start with the soil. Plants. Plants cannot walk around. They're stationary, and they can only absorb.
I've seen some plants walk around, just so you know.
Yeah.
I'm being nice, but I
Okay.
have seen some.
Okay, I don't doubt you. So they only have access to immediately from the soil particles that are around them, and what they may need to build some really complex molecules to defend themselves and to negotiate in their environment and to communicate with other plants may not be able to get themselves. They need the microorganisms.
Right.
Now I know one of your other guests was talking about the microbiome.
Yes.
So the
cool.
microbiome of the soil is just as important. That microbiome in the soil, without that, the plant will not be able to assemble the most powerful
Yeah.
plant nutrients that
The
fight
diversity,
off
the
these guys.
diversity of the.
It needs to be diverse. We don't even know. We're still studying it. It's the same as the human microbiome, but we know that these little creatures, billions of them that surround the plant's roots, are the plant's workforce. They're the farm laborers for the plant. The plant pays them with a molecule of glucose or sugar that it manufactured from the sun's rays.
It's unbelievable.
And then one of these fungal organisms or bacteria will go out, get an atom of iron or something that the plant needs, deliver it to the loading dock in the plant's root. They'll be paid with the sugar molecule, and the plant will accept the iron and then build what it needs to discourage that insect chewing on its leaf.
Wow. That is.
If the soil is not right, if those microorganisms are not there, the plant has no messengers going, no errand boys going and retrieving the necessary starting materials it needs.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap it up for now. I do want to talk to you more, but I want to get you. So you're up in Long Valley, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So Dr. Ron Weiss, thank you very much. I want to get you back down South Jersey, because everyone who lives in North Jersey thinks that
It's like two different countries.
you think living in Central Jersey is like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So if we can get you back.
Well, we are. I think where we are is people accuse us of being in Central Jersey, actually. It's we're right next to Hunterdon County. It is kind of Central New Jersey.
I just want to talk to you more on my podcast, wherever it may
Okay,
be.
my friend.
It's going to be at Eatontown. We'll schedule it up.
Good.
We'll talk more. Thank you, sir.
Excellent.
Doctor, very much.
Pleasure being here.
All right.